The name of my book is Reborn. And Reborn is a story, a personal story about my journey from a place of despair to fulfilling God's purpose in my life. I have gone through a lot of challenges, a lot of, things that happened to me in my childhood all the way to my adulthood. And the Lord impressed on my heart to write my story, to share with others, because, one thing about me, I'm transparent. And I believe when you share your testimony is to help somebody else get out of their situation. Because a lot of us go through a lot of changes, a lot of challenges in life. Especially, I grew up in the church world, a very strict environment, very religious environment. And it had a lot of, stressors in my life. I didn't know who I was as a little girl. I grew up with parents. My father was a pastor, and I was totally lost in this church world. I didn't know who I was, or if I was worth anything, or if I had any type of purpose in life. So my vision about God was so warped because I never thought God loved me the way they presented it. So I was a very lonely young lady. I had a lot of low self-esteem. So I was just really trying to maneuver and to find my way, through life. So it was God who helped me through the process, even though I wasn't focusing on Him as much. I want to share something, and chapter 2, page 17, Forsaken. I just want to read a little excerpt of it. And it says, in 1975, as I attended middle school and the family moved to a large 4-bedroom apartment building, it was at this situation things began to worsen for me. For instance, I was punished a lot. At times I never understood why. My father never believed that Christians told lies. For instance, if someone from the church would report to him that they saw me somewhere and was doing something wrong, I would deny it. However, I would be told that I was a liar and received the beating for it. So I became so tired of constantly being blamed and beaten for situations where I didn't have any idea. So I tried harder to be good, but noticed each time I tried, it wasn't enough. And I realized that each time I would speak things, my mother would tell me to be quiet. And after a while, she developed a resentment to me. And, so I struggled a lot to be a part of a family. I struggled a lot to be seen. I struggled a lot to be loved. And this book is to help others who are struggling to find out who they are and find out their identity and who they are in God and whose they are, because it's so important to find who you are, you find yourself, because once you know who you are and knows whose you are in God, your life changes, and then you're on a path where you're evolving and growing and building, and you are increasing in self-esteem. And the more you understand yourself, is the better you are how to handle situations in your life and even handle people, to work with people and to really learn how to be empathetic, learn how to, reach out in some way, shape, or form, and to be where, can be there in the moment with that person, because you understand where they're coming from, because you see a lot of what they're being challenged with is the same thing that you were dealing with in the past. So when God delivered me, I was able to share this story in order to help others to heal. I'm coming from someplace, a place of darkness. A new me came forth, and I'm like, God, this is a powerful title, because it sends a message, that when God rejuvenates your life, it's like you're into a new person. You're very different. It's like you're starting over again from scratch. It's like, wow, it's a new day, a new dawn. So this title was so fitting for, my journey. and where I came from.
Let's talk
relationships on UMERADIO.
So what are we talking about?
Marriage, dating, parenting, business,
And love, emotions, sex.
it's a conversation with me, Lady Misty,
And DJ KTE.
on everything from hot topics to taboos.
Join us Mondays at 9 p.m. live on UME Radio.
Follow us at Let's Talk Relationship Show on Facebook or on Yumi Radio on Instagram. Let's talk relationships, arguments for the grown.
Get the UME Radio app to listen wherever you are. That is UME Radio, one word.
UME Radio. Positive entertainment 24/7. Subscribe on YouTube and click the notification bell.
We have a wonderful roundtable tonight with some awesome men. I feel so good because I'm the only rose among the thorns, right?
Oh, I hear you. But we promise not to bite though. We be gentle. We be cool.
You
tonight.
better not, because I'm gonna bite back. Okay. All right. So tonight we are joined at the table tonight for a second time, Mr. Tyrone Shaw, and he's a 38-year-old, two kids, born in St. Anne, and he lives in Limehall, St. Anne, Jamaica. Right? He attended the Limehall Primary School, then he moved to Marcus Garvey Technical High School, still here on the island, and he is a part owner of RTSS Courier and Shipping. He enjoys playing football, reading motivational books, especially the ones how to make money. Yeah,
All
I
right
like him
now.
already.
All right.
Yeah. I consider myself, he considers himself to be very jovial, hardworking, and he loves his kids. He works hard to ensure that they are taken care of. So that is Mr. Tyrone. Good night, Tyrone. How are you?
Good night,
All
good night. How
right.
you all
So
doing this evening?
Yes.
I'm moving on now to Philroy Facey, and he is a confident young business minded king. Oh my God, just reading this, I feel so good. All right. So he worked with corporate Jamaica in the life insurance industry for 6 years. And whilst he was there, he was an award winning worker. Yeah. His passion is really in events production and audio engineering. He resigned and he followed his passion, and now he owns his own production company, Dr. Phil Entertainment, where he does complete event production and management. So, since the COVID 19, he says here that he has evolved to include video production and live streaming. So, hey, Doc, good night. Last week we had Davion Forbes. He's not here tonight on joining us on the table. I'm not sure he'll join us later, but uh, we move on to Pastor Justin Francis. And he was born and raised in Miami, Florida, to Jamaican parents. He's an artist, a businessman, record executive, I said pastor. He's a musician and a scholar. He lived in Chicago he's been living there for the past 8 years, and he serves as an elder at his local church and as a pastor at a Chicago nonprofit ministry. So he is Pastor Justin Francis, aka Justin Marta. Oh, I want to hear about that name, but not tonight. All right. Then we move on to Gary Higgins, and he is a pretty open guy. He is a lover of music. Yeah, he's a lover of music. He is CEO of 3G's Up Productions, and he's a musician, he's a sound engineer, and he's a sound engineer of 3G Sub Productions. And that completes my table. Am I leaving anybody out tonight?
I think we have them
And we,
all.
yeah, and no. Last but by
Reverend
no means
Edwards.
leave, we have our Rev in the house. We
Yes, there
have
we go.
Reverend Trevor Edwards. Yes, to drop some wisdom on us tonight. He is a Baptist pastor, part-time lecturer of pastoral theology at the United Theological College of the West Indies, and he is director of the divorce support group in association with the Family Life Ministries. He is married to the lovely Sharon Earl Edwards with 4 adult children and a daughter-in-law. So we have such a rich table tonight.
Yes, we do.
Good night, gentlemen. How are we all doing?
Night,
Great.
night.
All right,
Great.
all right, great. Well,
Fantastic.
All
All
right,
right.
good.
thanks for
So
having me.
you are also welcomed. So tonight, and thank you, Pastor Edwards, for coming. He's new to the table tonight. I want to, before we begin talking, I want to share a poem with you just to open up our discussion. And this was written by our lovely coach Raquel. Shout out to you.
Uh-huh.
I'm pulling it out to read. So it says, I am woman. I don't want to hurt because I love you without cause. I don't want my heart to bleed because you don't want me at all. I don't want my mind to be spent missing you all day. I don't want to accept that you don't think of me anyway. I don't want to give you details for events you care less about. I don't want to think you care when you just want me to shut my mouth. I don't want to be the one with the womb. I don't want to go through all these emotions every month. I don't want to be the one who just can't be done with it. I don't want to be the one whose issues isn't legit. So why am I the one who is stuck with all the details? When you get to hit the target straight, perhaps God knew we could handle complicated. And He knew you could only keep it simple. Imagine if we could both love each other instead. And that we're enough to keep us humble, then perhaps we could truly love. And being a woman wouldn't feel so tough. So, this is from a woman. What do y'all men think? Good night.
Good night.
Good night again.
All right.
All right. What do y'all think about the poem?
Pretty reflective of a woman as she expresses her own thoughts about some of the unique things about a woman and their ability to be a mother, ability to bear a child, which is really a gift, the opportunity to do that. And which sometimes it brings its own pain. And she represented or reflected some cultural issues in terms of why is it that I'm the one who has to do so many things, which are some of the gendered position or actions of society. Society says women do this and men do that.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily how we were born. There are some things which are given. So it's a kind of a protest I hear. There's a little resolution that comes near the end where she's saying, well, I'm a woman, and maybe if I felt that there is mutual appreciation, then I probably would deal with some of these a little better. That's what I was hearing.
Okay.
All right. Now, tonight we are really diving into the topic of separation and the process of how our men heal overall. And in reading this poem to you, gentlemen, how do you feel if your woman comes to you and says, listen, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through, this is how I feel? As Pastor Edwards is saying, I'm protesting because the relationship is at a crossroads. It is going to end. It has ended because of some of these issues that have been highlighted in the poem. How do we go now to down the road of healing? So let me start with, I want to go around the table. So let me start with Fitzroy.
You're up.
The first person that came on my screen.
Mr. Phil, you there?
No.
No, he's not. All right. Tyrone, you want to jump on that question for me?
How do we heal
Yes.
from that, right?
Yes.
For that question can be a little bit tricky because healing the relationship or healing the person self.
Let's talk about the person first, because if the person is not healed, the relationship can't heal.
Yeah, because it's gonna be hard to heal because after it's certain things have been pointed out. That means it's already too late, and it's gonna take some work to really get you back to where you ought to be. And if you're
Okay.
talking about moving on with life, you can. It's like you have a sword, but it's look like it heal on the outside, but it's still not heal on the inside.
Okay. All right.
All right, Gary, you want to take a stab at it?
I'm sorry. Who did you say?
You want to take a stab at that question?
Oh, sure. So, if I'm hearing. I'm not sure if I'm hearing two different questions here. One I heard was if my significant other or my woman was to come to me and say what was said in the poem, what would my response be? And the gentleman before me was addressing how to heal.
Yes.
So
So we stand on it. We stand on the healing aspect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So interestingly enough, there are some key elements that would and this is my perspective, would be necessary. And establishing balance would be one factor. Sacrificing, so submission one to another would be very important in order to create balance. To heal, I think for me, love is a choice. So oftentimes when people say I love you, it's until they're not satisfied with, I guess, certain expectations, or whether it is because you're in a broken state, or you're wounded, or you yourself need healing, and you cannot necessarily, function to the capacity that maybe you once, were capable of functioning, then, the love, so-called love, is withdrawn. But for me, love is a choice. So in spite of, and I understand that there are also, different types of love. The agape love, which should never be a substitute for any of the other loves, the phileas love, the eros love, and we could go on and on and on, right? The agape love, however, is unconditional, love that, Christ have for us in spite of. So that was one of the things that, for me, I was able to demonstrate in, my previous marriage, which it allowed me to be accountable, when things weren't necessarily, going the way they, should have been going, and so forth. So, I didn't compromise my character and stuff like that. Friendship You know, being able to kind of separate yourself from the experience in a sense and listen and, you know, put your feelings aside for, you know, maybe a moment so that you can hear and, you know, listen from their perspective and how they're feeling, you know, just to say a few things.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Justin.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Gary. Yeah, I would. I want to make sure I'm being a good listener, so I would make sure I understand exactly what's causing this, and then I would probably want to know what can I do to help you heal. You know, I probably would ask that question because I don't want to assume I know what to do, and then I try to do something out of a great, you know, the right place, but it's the action that person wants. There's a pastor named Dr. Gary Chapman, and he talks about the way we apologize, that a lot of times we apologize in a way we think the person would like, but it's not even what they were looking for. And then it's what we wanted to say. So it's like, I'm sorry. How can I, you know, reconcile? How can I make these things better? So I would look for that from my wife, significant other, to inform me on how can I help you heal? Because I might not have the right idea. I might think you need this, and it's really that. So we get into the scriptures, we pray, but then I'd be like, hey, do you need space? Do you want counseling? Like, I would ask the person how best to go about that, so that I'm not just doing what I think they need, but I figure out what, you know, they think would help them.
Right. Pastor Edwards, I know you have done some significant research on separation and divorce, and in my own observation of men going through their own pain and their separation, the process of healing looks different. So some men choose drugs, some men choose drinks, so they be drinking their way out of it just to mask the pain. Some women choose the vagina to mask that pain. But Pastor Edwards, I want to ask you, what does healing look like? What is it supposed to look like from a male perspective when they're going through when they have gone through that series of separation and divorce?
I think it's important that it is understood what causes the pain, and what is creating the pain. I think a couple of the things that the other guys have said is part of what will lead to that understanding. Okay, if you're in a relationship with someone that has caused pain and you need to heal from that, it's important that you mend whatever broken fences exist between yourself and the person. So part of it has to do with listening. Sometimes the person may feel so wounded because of rejection, that healing becomes a little difficult. So we focus on the self for a man. Am I an important person? Am I a valuable person? Or am I a reject because this person no longer wants me in the relationship? Am I a victim because this person no longer wants to continue a relationship with me? So a lot depends on how the person sees themselves. Now, if somebody sees themselves as a victim or as a reject, some of those behaviors you mentioned may be what they will turn to. They will try and soak their soul and ease the pain in alcohol or drugs or sex, etc. And also, so if a person feels that this is who they are, then that is how they will try to resolve it. But it's very important to come to a knowledge of who you are, that you're a valuable person, you're a respectable person, and not because this person, your partner, doesn't want you in this relationship anymore. doesn't mean you are not a worthwhile, valuable person who can sustain a relationship. So the healing can come within the relationship, and it can also and needs to take place within the person. So there are two levels at which the healing needs to take place.
Okay.
Wow. I think I want to kind of just throw out here real quick, because there's some of us who are married and we might be doing okay. Some might be strong in their marriage, but for those who have had a divorce or they've had a bad relationship, they have to move on, right? So if they're going to move on, how healthy do they need to be? So the question that I have, and we spoke quite a bit last week, and what men did and what we experienced when we did this for the wife, or we either built a house, or we sacrificed our time or gifts or whatever it is. But the point is that if we were to kind of take ourselves out of the picture for a minute and then see from her perspective, and as if she was a fly on the wall, and said, what would she say about me? Not just what I think I am being to her or what I'm saying to her, but what would she say about me if I wasn't there? So, gentlemen, if you can, what do you believe your wife would say about you in her own space, maybe with her friends or whatever it is, to say, well, why I am with this man or why I am not with this man? Because we got to get deep in this thing, because for us to have breakthroughs, we have to have breakdowns. So I think that there's a question I want to throw out there. What would that sound? What do you believe that would look like if they could actually express themselves as far as who we are in their world?
Anyone of us can answer, or we have to be direct?
Yeah, you got to go right ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
Well, again, it's a very general question, but some of the things I could say that putting myself in that woman's position to say, okay, here are the things I'd say. I mean, he's mean. He's just thoughtless. He comes home, he doesn't help me in the house. He wants me to prepare food. He wants me to pamper him. He wants me to give him sex. And he doesn't help me with anything in there.
Talk to me now.
Okay?
Let's keep it real, man. I like that.
He's thoughtless. He doesn't help with the children. He doesn't have time to communicate with me. If I'm talking to him, he doesn't want to listen. He just say, okay, and then move on to what you want to do about that. Or okay, let's fix that problem. So he doesn't listen. So that's why I talk to my girlfriends. That's why I find another friend who will listen, because he wants to solve my problem without just listening to what I have to say.
Powerful.
Okay?
Powerful.
So that's probably what I think she's talking to her girlfriend and yap with her girlfriend about. That he's just not available. Fine. He provides the food. Yes. He's there. But he's not emotionally connected. I can't feel him. He's not there at all. And sometimes he speaks down to me as if I'm one of the children. Sometimes he doesn't talk to me like I'm a person. He talks to me as if I'm part of the furniture. And I don't appreciate that. And so I go to people who will validate me and make me feel respected. I stick around with him because he provides some things, but I don't know how long I'm going to be able to take this.
Wow. G-Mac, Gary, I'd like to hear you, sir. That was powerful, Pastor.
Well, I think
get right to it, buddy. Get right to it, Gary. Get right to it. This is tough. This is called two week toughness, man. 2 week toughness, bro.
Listen, she'll probably say I talk too much.
And I really? Well, wait, hold on.
Gary, not Gary.
That's interesting. What do you mean by that? You talk too much? Usually men don't talk about nothing.
Right. So I'm the problem solver. I'm usually ahead. I'm seeing ahead, and I'm analytical, basically just analyzing things and, what would happen if this is done or if it's not done. And I would want to have conversations about these things in order to prevent them.
Okay.
But, most of the time.
So what would you say? I want to hear the dirt, man. I want to hear the real stuff, man. I want to get the gut of it, man. Let's go, Gary.
Do me a favor, rephrase the question for me, please.
Okay, what would your ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, what would they say about you to their friends if you weren't there? They would say, I'm describing my man, or my man who was.
Okay, so either you don't believe what I'm saying,
not what you say. Not what would she say?
Right. So she can't say that I don't help with the kids because I have them all the time.
Right. All right, go ahead.
People see it. I mean,
All right, that's one.
You're a witness. Can't say I don't listen.
Well, we don't know that.
But what would she say? What do you think she would say?
Yeah, not what you think. What would she say?
This is what I was saying. I talk too much. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
She's gonna say she's probably gonna say the next thing that she's gonna say. My train of thought went. Sorry about that. But
bring it back, Lord. Bring it back, Lord. Bring it back. Bring it back, Lord.
No, I'm conscious of it, the time that I'm taking to say what I have to say. Yeah, I'm too detailed. So it's like sometimes you just want to rest and relax. You don't want to think too much. That's okay. You're having a conversation with me that you're gonna have to apply yourself in that manner. And sometimes it's just too much. Oh, the other things you would say, and you wouldn't even, say anything. This is when they get upset and they're like, and I'm just like,
shut down.
I'm calm because I can't take back anything that I say, and before I say some, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words does what? Stirs up anger, So I have to exercise a certain level of wisdom, patience, and, understanding. I know that when two people are arguing, it's hard to tell which one them say, otherwise, which one are the fools. So I'm listening. I have to also be responsible with her feelings, so because at the end of the day, this might be said like, how many years ago, but they still remember. I know I would. So
all right. Okay. Mr. Justin?
It's hard to come after Pastor Edwards with all that. I was like, what more is there to be said? I know for me, my wife, it's probably be like, oh, he has a double standard. He tells me to do this, but he doesn't do it. Or, not emotionally connected. Because like Gary said, I'm a problem solver too. Like, the problem happens, I'm trying to, how can we mend this and keep it going? Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. So I'm always thinking, okay, how can we reconcile this by the end of the day? But sometimes my wife needs to process. Sometimes days need to go by. Do other things.
Interesting.
Just give it time and space to process, and then come back around, and everything might be fine. But those days can be rough because things aren't right. But got to give her that space, that time, because everybody doesn't process or deal with those issues. So I could imagine her saying a couple of those things. We don't have kids yet, so we do have a kid on the way. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations, my brother. Congrats.
Appreciate it. First kid. So that'll be on a whole nother level, and I know some of you guys are further along and can speak to that. But that would be what comes to mind.
Okay.
All right.
Tyrone?
Well, I think Mr. Pastor Edwards
No, Pastor Edward be speaking for everybody tonight.
And I can give you my ex-wife number. Maybe she will tell you more in details.
Oh my God.
But I think she would say first thing, he doesn't spend enough time at home. Second thing, I easily shut down just to avoid the argument, because don't mean to be rude or anything, but women never stop, right? So I will.
Careful, I'm in the room.
Yes, that's what I said.
I'm just playing with you. I'm just playing with you. Go ahead.
But, yeah.
Fix it up, yeah, brother.
Yes, so that's what she would say. I could do more with the kids. It's just basic, the timing with the, yeah, and to fix things, I could be more faster with fixing things, and I'm a little bit casual with life. I take life too simple.
Okay.
And maybe she have more to say, but you can call her.
Oh my God.
So too complacent.
so gentlemen, this question is a bit. I mean, I kind of sprung it on you, but the idea is that I realized in relationships, the first thing is to protect ourselves. I think instinctively, and it's amazing how when in the Garden of Eden when after they sinned, and God approached Adam, and the first thing he said was, "The woman you gave me." So the blame game starts. So it's something about us not really being honest with ourselves, and wanted her to really see us the way we are, because her experience is real to her because of what we do. I know in my experience, I missed by many miles in many areas, but it took a while for me to look back and connect the dots and see what I thought I was doing and what it really was. And just something just wasn't working. So I had to peel off those layers and say, my goodness, I really didn't hear her. I wasn't listening carefully enough to hear what she was saying or listen to understand. Sometimes we men have a good way of shutting down real quick. We can tune out real quick. And I think that a part of us healing is knowing that, listen, where did I really go wrong? Where did I really miss the mark? So we can move on and be better men, be our best selves. I mean, that's the idea. And that's why it's good to have someone like Pastor, his name, help me out here, please.
Edwards.
Pastor Edwards here as an older gentleman who has lived longer than us and been married longer than us and have wisdom. And when I like what he said, Pastor Edwards, was that you were so transparent. You really gave us the real deal. You know what? This is what it is. And you're man enough to embrace that humanity and the realness that, what? Yes, it is what it is. But guess what? I can look at the good, the bad, the ugly. I can now decipher things, and I can be the best me. I can understand her, where she's coming from. I like how you kind of brought it in.
I have a question. I hear a little common thread when listening to all the things that a woman would say. And one of the things I hear jumping out at me, and being that I'm a woman, you guys are not emotionally connected. So you're there to fix the problem. And men are usually like that. There is an issue because you guys are naturally logical. So there's a problem, I'm going to fix it. But what about the emotional connection? Can that be a part of the healing? You recognizing that, hey, I need to be a little bit more understanding, listen more. What was that process like, even in going through your own pain? Was there an epiphany to say that, hey, I really need to listen more, or I need to be more emotionally connected? And I'm directing this question at Tyrone and Gary.
What if a man is
I'm saying I hear the woman complaining based on what you're saying, that men are not, you're not emotionally connected. You weren't emotionally connected in the relationship. So I'm saying, in the healing process, is this something that you would look at moving forward, going into a new relationship, that, hey, I need to be more connected this way. I'm going to make an effort to be more connected to her emotionally this way. It may be hard for me, but I'm willing to do it. Was it something that came to you, like, probably I wasn't so attached that way?
For me, yes. Yes.
Okay.
I see where I can improve on that, and I decided that I will definitely do that. And my first thing is try to have some patience. I
Okay.
just don't have patience, so I'm working on that. I tell you what, this COVID thing seems to work out in my favor for a while now, because I am learning how to deal with problems like these. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
That's
Yeah, that's good.
I even
That's good.
Get females, instead of run to the guys, my friends, and I get females opinion. How would they handle this? How would they like this to be done? Yeah, just doing things a little bit different now.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that. That's good.
Um, it was a total opposite for me. If anything, I was just really making a lot of sacrifices in terms of for one, my schedule causes me to be very flexible, so it was a lot easier. That probably was to my advantage, as opposed to someone that have to spend a lot of time away at work. But if I was supposed to hear something like that, I I would have to be realistic about how I would try to make an adjustment, because it's like you can't stop work, really and truly, because then some things are gonna have to shelved. So if you as a woman like to go out and eat out a lot, and get nice things and money here, so on certain little things that some women tends to identify with as
happy life,
being emotionally attached, and considering their needs and whatever or desires, then that's something that they sometimes this the house have to just live another on a apartment, one bedroom, and load the 2 bedroom and them something that you understand for
Gotcha.
But a lot of times I don't think they're necessarily willing to give up that those things, and they want it all. So that's what I mean in terms of being realistic. Like, what are some of the things that you can have some balance? It'll have to meet somewhere along the line. I'm not saying it's not going to always be 50-50. That's the
Okay.
So.
All right. So, I mean, we're racing through the time, and I want to jump into the viewers' questions and comments. And so I'm going to direct this question to the 2 pastors in the room. And this question says, what does it take for men to connect or reconnect when there is a disconnect?
I think
younger pastor go first.
Yeah, I want the one with less wisdom, I think, should go first, so that the more wise pastor can clean it up after me. I think that's what we should do.
Okay.
It's not going to be easy to follow him. So, I'd rather just go first. The expectations aren't as high, and then he can close. So.
Oh, that's not true, but go ahead.
Team, okay, tag team partner, I hear you.
Nah, but yeah, say the question again, because now I done.
So, what does it take for men to connect or reconnect when there is a disconnect?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I've been married 5 years, so like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm learning. But I would say I think humility and a desire to fix and grow and work on it, because you know it sounds like this person that's asking this is someone who desires. So
Yes.
yeah, a humility to say, man, I don't know, help me. So humility, being open to making yourself emotionally vulnerable. Even myself, I'm not all the way there. I'm trying to learn. I'm asking questions. I'm
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to other men who are better at that than me. So I think
Mm-hmm.
having that community of, okay, I'm not alone. Let me reach out to someone who maybe has been down this road. I think that's one thing. So yeah, that humility to know I
Yeah.
need to improve, and being willing to maybe get help from others. That would be first couple things that come to mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Pastor Edwards?
I agree. I agree with Justin. I think that's a very good place to start the question of humility,
Mm-hmm.
because it's really recognize that, look, I don't know it all, and the disconnect could have come because I may have been thinking that I know it, I have to control, I have to fix, I have to do. The humility side
Right.
says, look, I really don't know it all. And
Mm-hmm.
I make myself available to you to listen to you, and
Yes.
you can tell me what you would like, and I will try. It's new turf for me in terms of reconnecting, as the person is asking. It's new
Right.
turf for me, and reconnecting is like a language you have to relearn. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
have been practicing or behaving in a particular way for so many years in a relationship, when your spouse says to you that, look, you want to reconnect, this is what you need to do, it's going to be tough
Right.
to make that uh it's going to be tough to make that mental transition, but that is what is required to really ask for help. And asking for help is to be able to say to the person, how can I be more responsive and how can I be more helpful to you? So
All
humility is
right.
the thing.
Right.
What one point, Lady Mister, I want to bring out here.
Go ahead.
I think it's important. I was raised in a culture that
Mm-hmm.
really objectifies women. And even in
Okay.
the church that I grew up in, a lot of times when you
Mm-hmm.
hear about humility or dressing or adornment, it was always geared towards a woman. Most of the example that they use was always she was basically used most of the time as to the standard of what it's supposed to be. And
Okay.
it's funny how when in the Bible days when the woman was caught in the act of adultery, they brought her out, but where was the guy? Where was the man who was involved? So I
Mm-hmm.
think the culture would be commercial, be it movies, be it advertisement, pornography is a huge thing, big part in the culture. Most men have been exposed to it,
Mm-hmm.
from Big Brother, uncle, friend, schoolmate, whatever, classmate,
Right.
magazines, and a lot of things. We see that women have been objectified so much, so we have somewhat been affected by it, whether we want to believe it or not, some to different
Mm-hmm.
levels. And I think the man who has probably was spiritual and probably have opened themselves to actually get healing, can address the issue when it goes into marriage more effectively or less
Right.
effectively. So I think a lot of us we have actually have been affected by our culture. So even when we get married or get involved, we wrestle with these things. How do we really connect with a woman? You know, more than just an object. Okay, she talks too much, or she's a nagging, she's yapping too much, she's this, she's that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of men, and I was born in Jamaica, and I've heard enough to know that women were seen as a side piece,
Mm.
and so I think as I hear you gentlemen here speak tonight, I hear a sense of awareness that I'm really appreciating, a
Yes.
sense of humility, a sense of wanting to be better, to do better. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not to pity patty ourselves, but strong men are vulnerable. Strong men are saying, there's something, I can get it wrong too. Strong men are saying, you know what, I am just we are one, how can we become the oneness that God would have us to be? And that's what I want to point out, because we sometimes are affected not knowing how affected we are and how we treat our spouse or exes or girlfriends in that sense of the word.
Yeah, I have another question here from a viewer. Well, I have quite a few, but I want to ask this one. It says here, my husband ghosts me and it's frustrating. I share my issues. He takes over a month to answer. Is that normal?
Wow.
Man, let me ask Pastor Edwards. Is that normal, Pastor?
Sorry, I didn't get the first part of what you
So,
said. My husband
so
does.
she says her husband ghosts her. That means he ignores her, ignores the situation, right?
Okay.
So that's, yeah, they call it ghosting,
Yeah.
and it's frustrating. So
Yes.
she continues to say, I share my issues. He takes over a month to answer. Is that normal?
It isn't. It is one of the behaviors that there's this guy who talks about the four horsemen of relationship. And it is one of them is stonewalling, and that sounds like stonewalling. It is where uh, it, it is almost contemptuous. I don't have to give you an answer. I don't have to respect you. I don't have to do what you want. And it's a kind of casual, careless approach to someone in a relationship. And if you value the other person, you don't do that. You at least be courteous. So something
Right.
something is wrong, is fundamentally wrong with that relationship. If a wife could ask her husband for, raise a question, and it takes so long to answer. Just another thing I'd want to say is the absence of what helps to reconnect as well is empathy. And
Okay.
empathy is really trying to get into the other person's shoes or get or see things from the other person's perspective. To be able
Yes.
to do that requires suspending your feelings, your thoughts, your just where you are for a moment. And somebody who does that is making no space in their life for their spouse. Because you have to think that as she expresses, she's frustrated and naturally frustrated. And you wonder whether he's doing this willfully to punish her,
Yes.
or whether he's doing this. I can't believe that it's not, he doesn't know any better. But it really shows that there are some underlying issues that need to be addressed in that relation. It's not normal.
Okay. I see another question here, Pastor. Just to follow up on that. I see another question here from someone who is listening, and they sent me a message. I hear the guest talking about emotional reconnection. My let me see if I can get this straight. My husband does everything else around the house, but gives me time, attention, and sex. Is that normal as well?
Again, that comes right back to the issue of empathy and emotional connection. I think it's part of our socialization. Men are not taught that we have a culture in our society where we are not taught to express our feelings. Women express their feelings more, but men are told to hold it in and be a man. And so if you cry, you're a mama boy or something like that. And if you seem feely touchy or touchy feely, then people look down on you. So we are not encouraged to express our feelings. So we are dunce when it comes on to emotional intelligence. It comes on to really, really connecting with ourselves and understanding how other people feel. We are really dunces when it comes on to that. And it is an area of relationships that is so important. And one of the things I do in premarital preparation, I think I heard that in the discussion that came up one evening, last night, your meeting, is that you encourage persons before they get married to really do some premarital preparation. So they look at these attitudes and approaches that persons have. And it is in the preparation and the courting time and so on that you pick up some of these approaches that persons have. And there are ways that when a person can connect, but sometimes our love language is different.
Yeah.
And a man may feel all he needs to do for a woman is just do the practical things. But she also wants to hear, I love you. She also wants to know that you spend time and just listen without quarreling, without criticizing, without judging, without condemning. Just listen. And when you say listen, say, But really, that's how it goes. Just listen. Just listen, not to move to fix it, but just listen. And when she gets that, she feels connected. A woman loves conversation, and a good conversation for a woman makes her connect.
Wow.
And sometimes some men are very short in that area.
I have another question, and I think I want to divert this question to Justin. I know that he works well with young people and young men, and I know you got it. Okay, you got it. You got this. You got this, Justin. You got this. So this question says, what if as a man you cause the separation because of an addiction, and after much counsel, prayer, and assertiveness, it feels hopeless and still feels like a broken, unmendable person?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that question. And to the
How do we help? Yeah.
yeah, to the woman just called, that was powerful too, because I didn't know it was making that type of connection with people. So that's great to know.
Yes.
But yeah, to that person, you gotta, keep hope. You gotta keep that door open. Now it's like, okay, is this person a believer? Or are they a Christian? Adherent to the scriptures? Because then that plays a role in how do you move forward in that? Because the word does direct us on, keeping that door open until, is this person married? Or are they just dating? Like I probably would need more information. So I mean, if they're married and that person's left, they messed it up because their addiction. I counsel them. Yeah, make sure they're getting counseling. They've cleaned up. They've healed, and be willing to come back to that person. And you may have to prove yourself. It might take a couple years. You might need some outside people who could maybe vouch for you that you have changed, that something is different, and you have to be open to the possibility that unfortunately that person might have moved on. I think Gary said this last week that sometimes we don't hear the fact that sometimes getting out of something is the best healing that there is. I think maybe years ago, the old school was like, no, fight no matter what, stay in some bad stuff. And while I would say marriages did last longer back in the day, there were a lot of bad relationships that people were just staying in because they were too embarrassed, or that's not what people were doing. And then now in our day, it seems like people are getting out of stuff too quickly, too easily, and don't want to fight. You ate my dinner last night. I hate you. I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Or, usually you hear about irreconcilable differences. And it's like, what is that? That could be anything. But yeah, I would encourage that person that, don't give up, continue to, as long as that door is open, continue to contact that person, hear from them, listen, be a good listener, and but be open to the fact that unfortunately there are consequences for our actions too, and sometimes we blow it and it's over for you. And I hope that's not the case, but you do have to be. The Bible does say in Galatians 6:7, you reap what you sow. So you might have, I got a guy at my church that, he was on crack and drugs for 40 years, homeless. married twice and all these things, had kids and all this stuff. And now he's like in his 70s. He wants to be married. He wants a mate. And sometimes I have to remind him, man, like, hey, you had your chance before and you kind of messed it up. And I'm not going to say God can't open the door for you at 70, but you know, you got to keep in mind that, you know, sometimes
long time coming.
Yeah. So sometimes we do have to keep in mind that sometimes our sin does come back to hurt us later, and sometimes that's what we have to deal with, you know, and it's not always going to end in a rose-colored, you know, happy. There's not always going to be a bow put on the end of your situation in this life, at least. So
great point.
That's good.
Great point at all. You know, Lady Misty, I was thinking that that, you know, I look at my own life, my experiences, and my divorce. What I realized is that going into marriage, I was equipped. Of course, Pastor Everett talked about counseling and the right kind of counsel. But one thing I believe that was important for me to this day, I was very vulnerable and I was very open to the fact that it can go south, it can go left, it can go right. And my main focus wasn't about just it actually going one way. It was about the fact that I want to be true in my moment, in my situation. So I knew that I could get hurt. So I loved all I loved. I mean, I loved everything I had. I believe I did. And so it was okay. Looking at life and looking at reality that, listen, you know what? I was unprepared in many ways. She was unprepared in many ways. And life sometimes happens. But I think now don't want to guard my heart in such a way or block my own, my own openness and vulnerability and lose out on love. So whether it's the first wife or like some have 2, 3, 4 wives they've gone through or ever had, I want to now love again as if I was the first time. You know, no baggage, no hurt. She probably did her best. I did my best. It just didn't work the way we probably would have loved it to work. But it's okay. You know, it's okay.
It's okay.
And once I know that I can be vulnerable, I can love again, hurt again, but I'm gonna do my best to be the best I can be, even as I look forward to that day again. So just a thought out there.
All right, but we're almost out of time, guys. I can't believe we're almost out of time again. But I want to close with this question, and I'm throwing it to everybody so everybody can just take a pick at it.
Like a minute, real quick.
Yes, and I know that Gary and Tyrone, they have experienced separation, and you too, DJ KTE.
Yeah.
So if you had one chance to go back in time to fix your relationship with all the knowledge that you know now, what would you do differently, if anything?
For me, I spend some more time. I would never work on a cruise ship again. I'll try to be a little bit more emotion attached to her. I listen more, and I will be a little more romantic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
For me, I think it's a little tricky because while the marriage did not last, I think there were some beneficiaries in that situation where the children were, because I was imparting discipline. I was the disciplinarian. I mean, the youngest son had said to me, he just wasn't used to that because his biological father never did that and his mom never did that. So when I came and I was doing that, and I came into the picture, it was like, I was seen as, the bad guy in a sense, but, I was able to show him in the scriptures, children obey your parents and, certain things that, the Bible says, train a child the way they should grow, even though it wasn't my biological children, but they didn't ask to be in the situation. However, I had to, do my part. So, but if I have no regrets about that part, but if I was supposed to fix the situation, that marriage would have never happened because, what I did was, and I think maybe, she probably, got something out of it, even, after it ended, maybe she's, looking and saying, you know what, some stuff I made a big deal out of, it was just, maybe I was just being selfish, or that was not the best way to approach it, because I'm sure my absence is obvious now, because a lot of things that she had access to, it's not going to come by so easy in another individual. I know I'm a special guy, not being conceited or anything like that, but that I know about myself. Another thing is what she wanted me to do was to, put the, my music and all this stuff aside and go do what everybody else is doing, the 9 to 5. And that was never me. Like I said, I don't know what it's like to do a 9 to 5 or a job interview, but my life is a testament. I've done stuff without commercials and advertising myself. So, I wouldn't have lost a lot of those 10 years. I think I would be, probably married right now to someone else that appreciate, that understand. I think one thing I wanted to say is that a lot of people, they get married for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds.
Yeah, a lot of people get married for the wrong reasons, right? And that leads to a whole bunch of things that could have been avoided in the first place. What's the purpose of marriage? I think that's the thing that we need to ask ourselves before we, get into that situation and the reality collides with our fantasies.
All right. I know we're out of time, but any parting words? I want to hear from Pastor Edwards and Justin.
In relationships, just a quick thing to say that I was married and remarried, so that puts me, I'm not different or separate from the story.
Okay.
But what I have learned in my new relationship for about 50 years is that it's important to be present. It's important to be emotionally connected. And one of the things that I have learned from the wound or pain of the first relationship is that I did not use that to bury myself or to think that I was a victim or to think that I was a reject or any of that. I did not internalize that. I use it as an opportunity to help others. And hence the group I spoke about, director of Fresh Start, which is a support group for persons experiencing separation and divorce. And we meet at Family Life Ministries every third Saturday at 6 o'clock. And we do this online now, but it's an opportunity to help other persons going through their pain to heal with a support group. And when you hear from other persons who have gone through the pain, that is what I've invested the last 20 years of my life doing.
And what's the website name, Pastor Edward? What's the website name?
Fresh Start.
Fresh Start.
Fresh Start. Gotcha.
Yes.
It's a divorce recovery support group with Family Life, associated with Family Life Ministries.
Nice.
If anyone calls Family Life Ministries, they'll get some more information about Fresh Start.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you
That
so
helps
much,
a lot
Pastor
of people.
Edwards.
Love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, this is UMERADIO. You're on Let's Talk Relationships. And again, an awesome episode. Powerful gentlemen, black men came and showed up and showed out, and they did their thing. I love it, love it, love it.
Underneath it all, who are we sexually? Bible, cufflinks, and stilettos, with Giselle St. James. Monday nights at 10 p.m. For mature audiences only.
Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is time for Bible cufflinks and stilettos. I am your gracious host, Giselle St. James, your counselor, mentor, author. And as usual, the objective of tonight's show is to have open and honest, real and practical conversations around sexual issues, concerns, and practices for better relationship outcomes. Now, last week we would have looked at, who we are sexually underneath all of this glitz and glamour, what it is that we like, how do we identify in terms of our sexual preferences and in terms of what we like in the bedroom. And this week, we're going to be talking about owning all of that. Listen, this week's topic is called owning my sexuality. So please join me in the comments. Make sure you ask your questions, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell so that you can be made aware when we go live again. So, before we go into anything tonight, I want to do some self check with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are here, you can either answer the questions in the comments or you can say this out loud or answer this out loud or silently. So, let me ask the first question. Are you relaxed? We're relaxed? Good. Now, are you open to what tonight's segment will teach you about yourself? Are you eager to put this knowledge to practice? Are you ready to be a better lover? Do you promise not to use what you have learned to harm anyone or yourself? Will you ask questions, share your experiences, or anything that will enhance this session? Are you ready to begin? Because I'm ready to begin. All right. Now, for the longest time, ladies and gentlemen, society and all that makes it up, all aspects of it, has made us feel embarrassed for who we are, what we like, and even how we express ourselves sexually, don't it? Have you ever been amongst a group of friends or maybe some female colleagues and they make you feel like you're out of place? You're there sitting feeling like the whore of Babylon because everybody else wait until them find them husband and married before they have sex. Only me? I don't know. How about my gentlemen out there? Have you ever been afraid of admitting to your bros that, listen, you like when a woman take control and pursue you? Because to them, it makes you less of a man if you're not a bedroom bully or a Casanova. Do you feel out of place because you spend a lot of time doing things like researching sex and how to make it more pleasurable? And you probably know every chapter of the Kama Sutra more than you know the Bible. Only me? I want you to know that I see you and there is not one thing wrong with you. It's time we own those parts of us that people tend to judge because understanding what we want and what we like sexually is the key to being better lovers. So let me make sure that I bless this segment with some prayer. Lord, how good, how great and wonderful you are. We are so thankful for this time. Lord, we are so thankful for these avenues that we have to our disposal to become better lovers, to become more intimate with our partners, and to even learn from others so that when it's our time, that indeed we will definitely be one of those persons who definitely pleases our significant other. Lord, I thank you for the expertise that will be here tonight. I thank you for the persons who will be listening in on tonight's segment. And I know, Almighty God, that there are persons who will just break free of the shame and the degradation that they have felt over the years and really start to own up to what God has called beautiful. Thank you for all that you're going to be doing here tonight. In your mighty name, I pray. Amen. So I just wanted to share a scripture with you, and this is how we're going to do. That's the basis of tonight's segment. You know, I want to talk about owning our sexuality, and I'm going to go from this portion of scripture that so many have looked at, and we know it in one way, but I want to put a little eisegetical twist on it for tonight's show. So the scripture is taken from Genesis 2, verse 25, and it says simply, and the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. Look, there is something to be said about knowing who you are and accepting that. It is liberating. It's the difference between you accepting whatever comes your way and hoping you orgasm too, and between being upfront in saying to your spouse that oral sex is the only way that I can have an orgasm. It's a big difference right there. The freedom we experience in being true to ourselves saves us from so much heartbreak, ladies and gentlemen. And it also saves us from mediocre sex. Listen, it also makes us that much more confident. Talk about it. It makes us so much more confident when we can own those things that we like in the bedroom and know that this is what will make me achieve that great O, that little death, if you know the real meaning of what an orgasm is. So it makes us so much more confident in the bedroom, ladies and gentlemen, and we all want to be confident when we go into the bedroom. Listen, so I want you guys to talk to me. I want you guys to share your experiences. Join the conversation, ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about owning our own sexuality and what it gives us when we do that. Tonight in our studios, we have with us Apostle Dr. Faith Walters, our pastor and therapist, and she is here with us to talk to us about owning our sexuality. And I'm telling you, she has even more things to talk to us about and let us listen to. And I wanted to listen to it too, So welcome, Dr. Faith. Welcome, welcome.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Miss Giselle St. James.
Giselle, yes.
Thank you so much for allowing me to join in this segment on tonight. It's pretty interesting what you are saying.
Oh, yes.
Owning our sexuality, that's so important.
Oh, yes.
And I like when you brought that scripture in Genesis 2, verse 25. The man and wife, they were naked, but they were not ashamed. And it's so funny how when God created Adam and Eve, and they were in the garden and they were just free for all, and they were just enjoying life, and all of a sudden the enemy stepped in and everything changed, and then all of a sudden they realized, oh my God, I'm naked.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that in a way brought shame.
Yes.
And because they covered themselves.
Yeah.
Because God said, who told you were naked?
You're naked, yeah. Who told you to be embarrassed?
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's so funny when you say that, because when you're saying that now, it brought into my thinking now of how, we were raised. Because as you were talking about orgasm, I'm like, Lord, I didn't know what an orgasm was. I was married for 16 years, and maybe we were doing it and didn't have any idea
what it was.
We didn't know about that stuff in the church. Nobody didn't talk about that. You can't talk about sex in the church at all.
Simple and plain.
You are just to get married, and the whole bottom line is just to have kids, and that's
kids. Yeah.
It's nothing about simulation. It's nothing about knowing who you are, knowing your body, knowing your erogenous goals. Everything got to be connected: your mind, your body, your spirit. And if these are not connected personally for yourself, we talk about owning sexuality. You got to know who you are as a person. Number one. If you don't know who you are as a person, then it's hard for you to even be that for somebody else.
Exactly. And even know what to own in the first place.
Exactly. You know, because all you do is jump into bed, you know, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Bam,
You
bam,
know,
bam.
it's about the missionary position. And, you know, if you try, they tell you, you have these pastors telling you, you're not supposed to have oral sex. That's an abomination. And you're not supposed to even French kiss,
Kiss,
you know.
yes.
I
I've
mean,
heard that.
these are, you know, I'm saying to myself, and I realized later on down the road, y'all wasn't doing it. That's probably why it was
They wasn't been doing good either.
Yes,
They weren't been doing it good either.
Exactly. Pure madness is right. You know,
Pure madness.
and they was just going. That's why I'm so glad for knowledge. You know, as time increased, as time elapsed and move on, we learned so much about our lives because for truth, as the Bible says, our people perish for a lack of knowledge. And a lot of our relationships, you know, was so much entangled around sex, around the sexual part of it, the physical part of it, you know, not the connection on a mental basis, you know, not the connection on an emotional basis, you know, so
spiritual, because sometimes it's
spiritual
spiritual,
basis, yes, you know, and what as you were talking, something brought to mind: do we have intimacy with God? A lot of people don't know what that is. That's in that sexual state of mind, you know. I have been to that level of having that intimacy with God. I have been on the heightened level. And when I go up there, I don't want to come down.
Come down.
You know, but how many people have experienced intimacy with God? And when you experience that, it's not many people have experienced that. You know, and when you experience it, oh my God, it's such a wonderful feeling.
So true.
You know, and this is what we are missing in our lives as women. And men, especially who we call ourselves men and women of God. We're missing that intimate level with the Father. One with him, you know, intertwined with him. Because did you realize that God is sexual?
Oh yes. Oh yes. You know, I was reading some things and how he puts some things and how he even likens the wrong things that we did with things like sex and sexual immorality and all of that. He is very sexual.
Yes, he is. I mean, you read the book of Songs of Solomon.
Listen.
Oh my God, Lord Jesus.
Listen.
I'll be like,
listen, my husband used to serenade me with those poems.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
he used to send me those things. And that was foreplay.
Yes.
That was foreplay.
Yes. Well, we didn't know about that stuff before.
Okay.
But the thing about with me, before I got married, I kind of studied a little bit because I realized, I said, Lord, I ain't going to the relationship. What if I married this man? The man's a virgin. Turned out he was. And I said, well, what even don't know anything? You know? And I said, let me educate myself. So I started reading a lot of different books to try to get a little information and stuff like that, you know. And so we started doing little different things more than what the missionary position, all that kind of stuff. So he enjoyed, but the only thing that was good about my relationship was the sex. That was basically it. He was disconnected emotionally. We only have connection when we're in the bed. You know, other than that, he was just so far removed. He was abusive, more like elusive himself. I put him to that. So, you know, after 16 years, I couldn't do it no more. I had to kick him to the curb. You know, so, you know, so you don't need to be in a relationship where people, you know, and the thing about it is, I didn't know who I was at that time. And when the light bulb came on in my head and realized, you know what, I am somebody. I ain't got to take all this mess from nobody. You know, and I started finding out that I need to own me. I need to own my truths.
That's right.
I need to connect to who I am. And until I do that, I won't be in another relationship. So it's been like 20 something years and I'm still, you know, it took a while to learn about a lot of different things. And, you know, sometimes at some points I started to date and then sometimes you end up attracting the same type of person that was my ex-husband. And I said, God, you got to deliver me from this. You know what I mean? So, you know, as time go on, you know, you started realizing, you started being empowered.
Right. Yes.
You started feeling good about yourself. You know, and when you start feeling and build up your self-esteem,
That's how you start owning stuff about yourself.
Yes.
When you start to even speak into your being and say, listen, yes, I'm a voracious lover. Nothing is wrong with that.
That's right. Hello.
And you know, Dr. Faith, I wanted persons to hear your song. I just want them to hear a little bit about your song because, listen, when I tell you people, we're giving thanks. We are giving thanks.
Yes,
so let's give some
very
thanks.
important.
That's right.
God, you made man in your own image, and Adam knew Eve, and Lord, they connected. They knew each other. They knew each other parts of their bodies. God, we thank you for our bodies. We thank you that we are sexual beings. We thank you that we are able to make love to the one that you have given us. Lord, as we
come on. We are thankful that we are sexual beings.
That's right.
And we have to own that part of us.
That's right.
Because every single time we don't own it, we start to close that door on who we are. And the more we become embarrassed by what we like in the bedroom, the less pleased we get.
That's right.
And we need to start remembering that sex is not just for procreation.
That's it.
It's not just for procreation.
Have some fun. Come on.
Listen to me. Listen, you have to be pleasured.
Yes.
That's what sex is for.
Yes.
That is why our
work
organs,
it, baby. Work it.
That is why
it.
our organs, they have, pleasurable points.
That's right.
That is why even our breasts, your song, if persons listen to the rest of the song, you start thanking God for our breasts.
Yes.
Because that's also a pleasure point.
The vagina, everything.
Everything. If he did not want us to enjoy it, he would not put it there.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know what's key also too, when I share with people, when my professor challenged us in that classroom, he said, we thank God for everything, but we never thank God for the sexual body parts. Never. And I said, God, you can give me that song because I'm bold enough to sing a song like that.
That's
and I said, what about what's innate? You can't touch it. The feeling of wanting to be with your husband and that feeling inside, you can't touch that. Only God designed that.
That's
That's something we got to be grateful for.
So true.
Having that sexual feeling, having that, feeling, sexual feeling, feeling great, and all that stuff inside of you can't touch that. So you have to appreciate that.
Exactly. And then when you and that person can connect, because you own a sexuality, they own their sexuality, and you guys connect.
Yes.
It is something so magical.
That's right.
And when you guys align sexually, it is out of this world. But you cannot get there until you know who you are sexually, as we discussed last week. And then for this week, we accept. We accept who we are sexually, and we own it and we protect it. Because sometimes we own our sexuality, ladies and gentlemen out there, and there are some persons out there who want to abuse it.
That's right.
So we have to protect that too.
That's right.
We have to protect it.
You got to.
Listen, I think I need to go to the comments, because
yes, you need to. Yes, they got some serious comments up there.
I'm telling you.
I like this last one here. Yes.
Yeah. MIM Masterclass says
yes.
For too long.
Yes.
This conversation was owned by unbelievers.
That's right.
So true. I love that this conversation is for believers, people who desire to serve God. Definitely.
That's right.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. And listen, Satin Brownie says, good sex is not only for a reckless relation. Talk about, I need to do this. I need to do this. Yes. Yes. Yes, man.
Okay.
Trust me.
So what
listen,
can
I see. What can I do to change where I see myself, to start seeing me as sexy in a healthy way? I think, as I said last week, we have to know who we are. So we have to know our personalities.
That's
And the
right.
second thing that we have to do is we have to explore. So we have to stand in the mirror.
That was in my thoughts.
Go in your mirror, find
Yes,
a full
yes,
length
girl.
mirror,
Yes, girl.
and listen. Don't go
Uh-huh.
there fully naked.
Yes.
Go dressed
Mm-hmm.
and start undressing yourself. And you're looking at
Yes.
your arms when you undress, and you're
Yes.
saying, "Boy, my arms are nice. They're
Yes.
shapely." Start speaking into yourself,
That's
and
right.
you start owning every strip of clothing you're taking off, and
That's right.
even where there's a pudgy belly, you're going to start talking to yourself.
That's all right. That's all
Somebody
right.
loves this pudgy belly.
That's right.
Somebody loves this. Listen, I tell everybody that I don't have a full bottom, and my husband used to call it his 75%, and he loved that 75%. Let me tell you. So you got to turn in the mirror and look at your 75% or your 60% bottom, and you say,
Yes.
"Listen, this is some good bottom." You can imagine when I turn it back way for my husband.
Wow.
Listen to me. We have to start putting the word in ourselves so that
Yes.
we can
Yes.
start seeing ourselves as good, great sexual beings,
Yes.
persons that who are fit
Yes.
for persons who will accept that of us too.
And the scripture verse came to mind as you're talking. Psalm 139:14. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. So you look in the mirror, you're just thanking God for every part of your body, and you know what really, hurts me sometimes to see when women keep fixing their nose, fixing their lips. They don't appreciate who they are. So that tells you they don't really love themselves. They have not really owned who they are, or own their sexuality. They have not really zeroed in on who they are and whose they are. They fix this and fix that, and before you know it, you can't even recognize them anymore. They kind of lose
who they
everything about
are.
who they are. So the whole thing starts from a mindset, a positive mindset.
Yes.
Because where it all starts in the mind. So if your mind start to get right, you need to ask God to help you. If you're struggling with that, you struggle with low self-esteem. Because I know I was there, and God delivered me and helped me to be where I am today. So now I'm a woman of confidence. I am bold, and I tell myself I love myself. I said, "Girl, you got to go on." I look at her, like you said, look in the mirror, girl. I said, "Girl, you got to go on."
That's right.
You better go, girl.
That's right.
And when you go, I'm retired now, so I go to appointments, but I dress up. I put on fancy stuff, jewelry. I'm like,
look at me.
Hello. Okay.
Yes.
But you only go to the doctor's office. I don't care. You never know who you may meet, honey. Okay. So, you always dress for the care. You dress to please you, put on get some nice perfume. Let me tell you something. Nothing's ever expensive. No price tag is ever too expensive for you. If you can afford it, you buy it.
That's
because you only live one time. What's the sense of you working the money and not spending on yourself? That don't make sense.
Come on. As you talk about spending money, I want you, Dr. Face, to just tell persons where they can find your music, because they need to purchase that.
Yes, you need to connect to this music. Well, it's on the website. When you pay it's $5, and once you pay, you can download it into your phone or whether your tablet. You go to the website WAMOE.org, and it's I think it plays a certain amount as soon as you complete the process of paying for the song, and you get the entire song.
Awesome,
okay, so I do have the hard CDs, but right now they're not really into too much CDs, so they're more like on the website, so you can always download it into your phone and to hear it, as much as possible. But just to appreciate your body, and just thank God and just be grateful.
Yes, for making you this sexual being.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. I see all the comments. You guys are on fire. I hope something that we said here tonight really resonated with you. It seems like we just started, and look at us.
Yes,
we're done already.
Yes.
This conversation maybe needs to continue because there's so much that needs to go into us accepting ourselves sexually, so that we can be more confident in the bedroom. So Ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen, I am so honored that you stuck with us. Dr. Faith, you have so much wisdom to give us.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
thank you for joining me today. I
Yes.
hope you all were inspired. I've
Yes.
learned
Praise
from
God.
you guys. I've learned from you, Dr. Faith. Thank
Yes.
you so
I
much.
love you too, Giselle.
Yeah. So if guys, if you still want to talk about tonight's topic, if you have questions to ask, a topic you want us to discuss, you can email us at ltranswers@gmail.com. See you next week where we will have more open and honest conversation, and we are going to be talking about more issues that we face. So please like, share, subscribe, click the notification, everything, so that you'll know when we go live again. Thank you for tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place. Until then, have great sex, ladies and gentlemen, as the Lord intended.
We thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for all our female organs. We thank you, Jesus, that we
Underneath it all, who are we sexually? Bible, cufflinks, and stilettos, with Giselle St. James. Monday nights at 10 p.m. For mature audiences only.
Let's talk
Relationships on UMERADIO.
So what are we talking about?
Marriage, dating, parenting, business,
And love, emotions, sex.
It's a conversation with me, Lady Misty,
And DJ KTE.
on everything from hot topics to taboos.
Join us Mondays at 9 p.m. live on UME Radio.
Follow us at Let's Talk Relationship Show on Facebook or on Yumi Radio on Instagram. Let's talk relationships, arguments for the grown.
Get the UME Radio app to listen wherever you are. That is UME Radio, one word.
UME Radio. Positive entertainment 24/7. Subscribe on YouTube and click the notification bell.